Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with the least ideal Rachmaninoff Symphony cycle by major conductors. Oh yes, performances you'll never want to listen to again, but are really shocking because the people who do them ought to be better than they are. That's the point, really. It's the art of disappointment. And actually, I find this list to be particularly interesting because I've included the Bells, which is a symphony after all, choral symphony, and the symphonic dances. So we've got like the complete uninteresting Rachmaninoff, all in one handy video. So get ready. Here we go. Symphony number 1, Charles Dutoit with the Philadelphia Orchestra on Decca. This was possibly the most cynical record or series of issues ever by a major record label. The assumption was, and here we go, because this was recorded in the days when Dutoit and the Montreal Symphony were the big thing on Decca. They could do no wrong, even though they were doing lots that wasn't so great, but they could do no wrong. And Philadelphia, which was the Rachmaninoff Orchestra. So theoretically, anything that they do in Rachmaninoff should be just wonderful. It's like Berlin playing Beethoven or Vienna playing Mozart, or, the idea was that if you, Leningrad doing Shostakovich, the idea was that you just said to Philadelphia, Rachmaninoff, and poof, you got great Rachmaninoff. And with Charles Dutoit, who was really actually not the most interesting and compelling interpretive personality out there, but he was all over the place. So getting all kinds of acclaim on various labels. So what could possibly go wrong? It all went wrong. It was the dullest, most completely uncommitted and dreary, droopy Rachmaninoff cycle anybody ever did. This first symphony, wow, talk about having none of the passion, the angst, the excitement, the glitter. It wasn't even that well recorded. It was just a total non-happening. So let's begin with the total non-happening Rachmaninoff Symphony number 1. Next, Symphony number 2. Oh, yes, Andre Previn with the Royal Philharmonic on Telarc. Oh, this was such a letdown. Previn did an excellent Rachmaninoff Second Symphony with the London Symphony on EMI, Warner. And it got raves. It got raves and raves and raves and raves. Oh, the gramophone people couldn't shut up about it. It was really unbelievable, especially because the Timirkanov Royal Phil recording was better. And it came out at the same time, but everybody was ignoring that one because you had Previn. It was on English TV. He was a star. And it is a very good Rachmaninoff too. It really is. In fact, all of his Rachmaninoff that he recorded for EMI was really excellent. It was very, very fine. But, as is so often the case in the wonderful world of classical music, where artists can do no wrong, Previn remade a lot of his repertoire that was very, very famous. Walton First Symphony and all kinds of things that he'd done fabulously on EMI. He remade a lot of that stuff for Telarc. And it was supposed to be at least gifted with the fabulous Telarc Sonics, trademark Telarc Sonics. Now, those EMI recordings, some of them were really super sonically. They really were. But he redid Rachmaninoff's Second Symphony, and it turned out to be much less interesting than his first version. And even the sound wasn't as good. It was a total letdown, a letdown from every possible perspective. Really, really disappointing. Yeah, it was certainly not ideal in Rachmaninoff's Second Symphony. It just goes to show Previn was one of those guys, one of those conductors whose fuse slowly burnt out. as he got older, he got duller and less interesting and slower and heavier and more diffuse. And I mean, there were no positive qualities to late Previn, basically, very few. He made some good recordings. Of course, he was a very fine musician. But by and large, where he was competing with himself, he was less interesting than the first time around. And it's a story that we have seen happen over and over and over again. Symphony number 3. Well, this was not really part of a cycle, but it just couldn't resist. Adrian Boult and the London Philharmonic on Decca. Oh, my God. It's just terrible. Terrible. Oh, wow. It's so anodyne. That's the word. Anodyne. Soporific. You have to come up with your multi-syllable anesthesia adjectives. He also recorded the Second Symphony, by the way. I mean, not terribly excitingly either, but not for Decca. Really shockingly bad. It's just bad. I mean, just plain bad. And Decca reissued it, and God only knows why. I did a big review of it on classicstoday.com, which I would like you to read if you have a chance. I think it's a lot of fun. There are some analogies there that I won't repeat here that I think make that review particularly worth checking out and are particularly accurate as a description of this performance's complete and utter non-being. Boy, I mean, it's just stunning that he could have done that. So there you go. And a major conductor, major conductor who can play like Vaughan Williams to the 9. So why couldn't he do the same thing with Rachmaninoff? Oh, I don't know. Now, the bells. I love the bells. The bells is so fabulous. I mean, it really is just a glorious piece of music. And the least ideal recording of the bells has to be Pletnev. Mikhail Pletnev with the Russian National Orchestra and the Moscow State Chamber Choir, which already tells you why you're in trouble. You cannot do the bells with a chamber choir. You need a big choir. You need lots of screaming people. It just doesn't work with this thinned out, slimmed down, diet conscious performance. And Pletnev is such a bizarre guy. He's a wonderful, eccentric pianist. Then he became a bad, eccentric conductor, just bad. But earlier in his career, before he really knew how to conduct, he was just metronomic. It was completely uninteresting most of the time. He could do some Tchaikovsky well, but basically, his approach to the music was so completely lacking in exactly the weird qualities that made his piano playing so interesting. He would just beat time, and that was it. That's what happens in this performance of the bells. It's complicated. It's a big work. It's not easy to keep together. You have to have a little bit of, conductorial ability to bring the most out of the music. And he just metronomically ticks and talks his way through it. Bad, just bad. And the symphonic dances. This one was a shocker. Something that you would have expected to be wonderful. Neeme Järvi with the London Philharmonic on Chandos. Järvi, sometimes he's a cipher. You expect him to do these big romantic pieces really, really well, largely because he leaves them alone. He doesn't interfere, and he lets the orchestra go nuts. And sometimes he's a little sloppy here or there, but it's always exciting. Really, he has lots of visceral impact, and he lets the climaxes go. And, I talked to him about that once, and he was very, very frank about it. He likes to have the orchestra play, and he likes to let the music be exciting, and he has all those wonderful qualities. So why was his Rachmaninoff symphonic dances so uninteresting? It was coupled to the Third Symphony, which was quite good. He did a very good Third Symphony. But the symphonic dances, it just doesn't take fire. It's slack. It's indifferently played. It's has no special excitement or rhythmic snap to it. It's just one of those things where nobody was at the top of their form. And this is with a guy who you would have expected to just nail it. Really nail it. Well, he didn't nail it. Oh, no nails going in there. Not a single nail, not even a screw. Nothing. Zippo. Not even a staple or a thumbtack. It's just plain flaccid and lacking all the things that you want in that music. The ruggedness, the drive, the gorgeous glittering orchestration. I mean, none of it pops. So there you go. The least ideal Rachmaninoff Symphony cycle by major conductors. I mean, this has been fun. These are fun to do, actually, because, like I said, they talk a lot about how artists operate in the classical music world, and how even the ones who you expect to really do well and who specialize in certain repertoire always have their off days. And we need to acknowledge that. We need to know and call it for what it is. And there it is. We've called it. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks so much for joining me. Take care.